Welcome back, and we are now at part 2 of this week's new comics, bitches! Um, so before I get too much further into this, I just want to say one thing, and that if you were watching television tonight, hopefully you caught the season finale of The Walking Dead, and oh my fucking amazeball shit, wow. What an awesome show. I mean, every week for almost this entire season, with the occasional misstep, the 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 episodes have been just fantastic. You know, it's quickly becoming really one of the best series on TV. So anyway, moving along, Captain America #9. Ugh, excuse me. This was a major fun throwdown here. It's basically what we have here while they're while Tony Stark and Sam Wilson are trying to figure out, okay, well, what exactly is causing Steve's depowering. Sharon Carter and Machine Smith go toe to toe on the Quinn carrier, the Secret Avengers Quinn carrier, and basically he's taking over every non-sentient piece of tech that's in the entire Quinn carrier, and it's just awesome. And there's some moments with so I mean this is another great uh, you know there's another it's just another great example of how well Brubaker really utilizes his supporting cast, because I mean that was one of my favorite things about the previous volume of Captain America, is that Brubaker really knew how to utilize people like Sam and people like Sharon to the best of their abilities. Even when Cap was dead, and it was Sam and it was Bucky and it was Sharon and even Nick Fury. Even though Nick Fury wasn't around, his presence could kind of be felt. So it was, so the supporting cast became the stars. And this issue, that's essentially what's going on again here, is that Sharon Carter is really the star of this issue, which is why I love it. It's just a terrific issue. Alan Davis's art, it's fantastic to see him kind of at the top of his game here. I mean, there's some just really, really good stuff. And, unfortunately for Sam, he gets captured by Codename Bravo, and we are going to have a serious situation there, but we perhaps have good news for Steve. So at least there's some hope there for Steve, but otherwise it doesn't look so good for Sam. But just again, I love when they show kind of. I wish that Brubaker or someone to his same kind of caliber of talent, someone who knows the ins and outs of the Cap cast, would really sit down and just say, okay, let's just do a Sharon Carter, at least a Sharon Carter mini or something like that, because she's awesome. She's Agent 13. She's the shit, and this is just one of those issues that proves it. So, solid 4 out of 5, leaning a little bit more towards 4.5 for Cap #9, but just really, really good stuff. So on to our more indie part of our segment here, and so here is Thief of Thieves #2. This is basically, I would say, arguably one of the most anticipated series in independent comics, because it has both Robert Kirkman and Nick Spencer on it, and it has on art by Sean Martinborough, who's an artist that I wasn't familiar with until this title. But this is this is a step in the right direction. I wasn't a huge... I was a fan of the first issue. I liked it, but I was a little bit disappointed because I felt that it was too short, and I felt that there was nothing really answered. It felt like, okay, well, this is just... It felt a little bit too non-specific for me. Whereas in this particular issue, we're looking into, okay, well, this is, we're basically looking at, the life of, of our master thief here. We're looking at Redmond's life and his past, and, the problems that he's had and what he's lost. Because that's what this comic is supposed to be, all he got. It is what's supposed to be all about, all he got. And that, the life that he left behind, he wants back, which is why he quits. He's quitting being a thief. Now, there's going to be ramifications from that, and I'm sure in a violent way. But for right now, it's telling a very human story. And that's what is actually so special about this particular issue, and what's so terrific about it, is that it is telling a much more personal tale, while still having, a kind of a neat action beat, where it does show Redmond and his ex-wife's brother, James, and they are, having, they're basically, stealing shit together, and, that's when, and James is the brother to his as I said, to his ex-wife. Finds out that she's pregnant, and basically that's kind of where we leave off. It skips around from from now to then to now to then, and then back to now again. So I like the fact that it's a little it goes, it's not completely and totally linear. It has some bouncing around. Martin Burroughs' art, really, really good. Kirkman and Spencer, they have such kind of disparate writing styles. Nick Spencer seems to be a lot more about telling a non-linear tale, whereas Kirkman is pretty much all about forward momentum. Things keep going, ramping up, until it gets to a head, and then, it has to slow down for a bit because it's just gotten way too intense. But Thief of Thieves, this issue number 2, a lot better than the first one. Again, very, it still feels a bit too brief for what we want out of it. There's a lot of art. It's very sparse as far as dialogue is concerned, and I don't necessarily mind that. It's just that I think that because Spencer and Kirkman are such terrific wordsmiths, that I think that it could actually benefit from a little less kind of emotional art. I mean, I should let me rephrase that. It definitely needs the kind of emotional art, the eyes, the facial expressions, the body language, so on and so forth. But it also needs it needs dialogue. So I mean, that's the only thing that I think that it's lacking. But other than that, a really solid 4 out of 5 again to Thief of Thieves number 2. So continuing on, kind of the more indie part of it, we have Saucer Country number 1. Now this is Paul Cornell and Ryan Kelly doing a Vertigo comic, and this was it's basically the tale of this this Governor Alvarado of New Mexico, who is planning on running for president of the United States. And just long story short, she's a potential presidential candidate who has been abducted by aliens, but then returned. So she's an abductee, but a survivor, and So a lot of the, the fact that she is, basically she is she's the child of illegal immigrants, or her grandparents were. And then we have this story about, her husband and, just, her staff. So, I mean, this is basically what I'm feeling that this could easily be. We have this kind of, perhaps this may be a little crazy, Harvard professor who's, basically he's written this book about, basically, whether or not there are aliens. And, so the book itself, the book itself seems to be about aliens in and of itself, not just, that all Americans are aliens. They all come from somewhere else. So I mean, all this talk, and this is, it's a nice footnote because all this bullshit about, that, aliens are, all, illegal aliens, putting up walls, the Mexican border, and so on and so forth. It's all bullshit. And, and Paul Cornell, while he's English, he's smart enough to realize that, yes, what's going on in the United States, especially from an outsider's perspective, is just a bunch of bullshit, man. It's just, it's just ways for particularly Republicans to wag their finger and saying, you good middle class citizens, you people that are getting, you people that are, just kind of maybe above or even below the poverty line, you guys are being fucked over by all of these people who are coming here and taking all of our jobs away from us. So I mean, the book itself, it's not a really super satirical element to it. It's more of a commentary. It's social commentary disguised as alien invasion comic books. So in that way, and it reminded me a little bit of Ex Machina, in the sense of that there is there's this there's all of this, campaigning and all of this, duties as, an agent of government at cross purposes with what also needs to happen as far as, from a threat standpoint. So, although it's unlikely that Saucer Country, however long this will actually continue for, will ever get up to the level of greatness that Ex Machina achieved, it's still pretty damn good. So again, it's the art's it's a little it's very independent art. It's not great, but it's not bad. So I mean, that definitely a very solid 4 out of 5. I was kind of hesitant to pick it up, but when I was interested from when I read the preview in one of the, I think, in American Vampire, and so I figured, well, fuck it, let's pick it up, see what it's made of. Some really interesting characters and just a good book all around. So, moving on, we've got Buffy season 9, number 7, and basically we've got Buffy still dealing with being pregnant. She's kind of moved in with Spike on his bug ship, and then these 2 police officers basically, they head into, the police officer who's been in the series, is trying to, the zombie vampires, or zompires as they call them in this book. It's a good story, and especially with the finale, a real shock of it. I mean, if anything, this particular arc is really pulling out the stops on the shock value, because learning that Buffy's pregnant, and then learning out that she wants to have an abortion, and now this. I mean, it's just really strong stuff. I mean, we got Janti's doing great artwork. Andrew Chambliss, this arc is a lot better than the previous one. So here's hoping that continues. So solid 4 out of 5 to season 9, number 7. So we'll be back with more comics. So stick around.